Good morning. You're listening to Central Wisconsin's 24-hour information station, AM 1320 WFHR. It's time now for the Morning Magazine, brought to you by Comfort Air Heating, Cooling, Plumbing.
Welcome, everyone, to Morning Magazine for this January 20th, 2021. Your host, James J. Malouf here. Thanks so much for joining us today. In part two, we're going to catch up with our friends Mike Hittner and Larry Knutson. We're going to get an update on the historic Point Boss. Right now, we have Wisconsin Rapids Mayor Shane Blaser in with us. Good morning, Shane.
Good morning, James.
Thanks for being with us. And, of course, Kev and our good friends over at Wisconsin Rapids Community Media here doing the great work that they do. Kev, we appreciate all you guys and good to see you. Mayor, first off, how were your holidays?
They were good. Uneventful, quiet, but it's just kind of the nature of things right now.
So interesting. I've gotten a chance to ask a lot of people that question, and almost everybody has a similar answer to that. And normally, like last year, you asked that question. It's, we went and did this, we went and did that. And it's nice to hear almost in everybody's voice, I hear an appreciation of what they were able to do, whatever it was. Just happy to be able to celebrate, just happy to be able to celebrate a little bit, whether it was with some family or virtual or whatever. Just kind of we're happy to be here, happy to be able to do this.
Yeah, and it's neat to see how people have found unique ways to try to interact with each other still.
And speaking of interacting and working together and that, I know that there's a number of things we're going to talk about today that I'm excited about. One of them was the planning commission, council mission that went on yesterday. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, recently or probably within the last couple of years, we've redone our zoning ordinance. So what happened was now there's this unique have to have a planning commission council meeting together to have public hearings. So last night that occurred, and we're kind of discussing whether that's the most efficient way of doing things, and we're going to relook at that. But yeah, there were a number of public hearings that were held last night, and then the council ultimately took action on those requests.
When it comes to the council itself, or when it board members, committees, commissions, I know that you guys are recruiting for appointments for that right now. Ideally, what are the kind of citizens that you'd like to see in those positions or in those places? And I'm not asking necessarily as a mayor, but just as a citizen yourself.
I think, for me, it's people that have a general interest in that area, mm-hmm. or maybe have some background or some information that they could bring to that board, whether it be financial or just a passion for that topic. Those would make great board members. And if people just generally want to get involved in government and have that broad interest, there's something that could be available for you to kind of participate in, but it's not full-time or have a large amount of requirement of time.
I haven't talked to anybody about this because honestly, I feel a little shy about it. And that's like, there's like maybe two things in this world I'm shy about. And this is one of them because I grew up in a really political family, and my grandfather was very adamant about, it's one thing to sit there and complain, what are you going to do? And sure, Jimmy, you can rage against the machine, all these different things, and be the little rebel without a pause and all that stuff that they used to tease me for. But what are you going to do? Are you just going to sit there and bark, or do you have a plan? Are you going to actually do something? And he told me about board members and community members and stuff. And I actually went with him to a city council meeting back in Illinois when I was a kid, just because he wanted to, for everything that we talked about with politics, it was always on the big scale. It was the Mayor Daley thing. It was, whoever was running for president at the time. He's like, most politics and some of the most important politics that get done is this level of it, is really in the rural area, those kind of things. And it's some of the more important work that needs to be done too. We need people that are passionate and care to do these jobs, these type of things.
Yeah, and on a local level, it directly affects our day-to-day lives, whether it be in taxes and quality of life or general interests. Those affect us versus, national politics are very important on a global scheme, but our daily lives are affected by the local politics and those local decisions.
So I was shy about bringing this up because I've actually thought about applying for this. I've actually thought about doing that kind of thing. Now, you look at me, you talk to me, I'm probably not necessarily the person that you would think of necessarily in that kind of world or in that position. And at the same time, when I started thinking about it and everything and taking a step back, we need people in my age group doing this more. We need more of that. Because again, going back to what my grandfather used to say, we all can, we all need to vent sometimes. We all need to, rally and stuff like that. And it's so easy to do that against our officials and that. And we all understand the game. nobody better than people like yourself that have been in, many governmental positions before this and everything. But at the same time, again, are you going to bark or are you going to do something? Are you going to add to things? Or how are you going to help your community? It's very easy to complain. What are you going to do about it? Here's an opportunity where you can actually do some good. You can actually help your community and be a part of something.
Well, and the unique part about it also is you have a passion for an area, but the bigger picture is now you have to convince other people. So you have to sell that. If I think the sky is green, I've got to convince the majority of other people to believe that the sky is green also.
Right.
And so you have to have some salesmanship, some communication skills, or at least even if it's, well, maybe we can find a common ground in there, through that dialogue. But it's just because I think something should be that way doesn't necessarily mean the rest of the people are going to either. And that's the salesmanship of it.
The smartest people I know the smartest people that I have known know that sometimes they're dumb. Sometimes they don't have the answers. And having a wide range of opinions and thoughts and everything is very important. That's why these boards are so important, and why it's good to have diversity on there and different age groups and that sort of thing. So I encourage anybody that is interested in this to apply. You can go to WRRapids.org/appointments, make an appointment, and get in on this, because this is an opportunity for you to not just talk the talk, but walk it. And put a little action behind things and stuff, especially those, like you mentioned, that hit those, I wouldn't say criteria, but certain things, being passionate about certain things and that sort of, going about it that way. And we could use good people.
Absolutely.
So the planning commission, that went well. How are the meetings in general, these going? Are they mostly virtual? Are you guys able to get together in, keeping apart and stuff, that going well?
Yeah, so we have the either or option right now.
Okay.
You can attend in person where, where we wear masks and we are distanced, or you can attend virtually. And that's kind of an opportunity right now that people can take advantage of, no matter what their situation, whether they don't feel comfortable, they could be quarantined. There's just a variety of factors, and I think it's working pretty well.
Is there any meetings coming up that we should know about?
Well, last night we just had our council meeting, so in the next couple of weeks we'll start our committee process over again, and the committees will meet and start building that next council agenda over the next month.
We started off our show giving a forecast, and it doesn't take a lot for any of us to know what's going on outside. Not a lot. Some cold temperatures, but we're not getting a ton of snow. Certainly not I wouldn't say what we're used to in January. Who knows? There's no used to in Wisconsin. No, yeah, exactly. Now, many of us as people, we understand the budget. We understand that when we have a lack of snow, that certainly helps our budget. I'd like to get a little more detailed, a little more of the logistics about this and stuff, because on the surface, that's pretty much what you get. We don't have to plow as much, so we have more money. But it's a little more detailed than that, especially for you and the way that you see these things and the position you're in.
Well, exactly. And because we have a slow year this year doesn't mean next year is going to be. So you need to kind of keep that rolling. Mm-hmm. And it's not like, you have this windfall of money that you can do extra things with, because we have to think about next year. We have to think about even this year with state budgets and what that's going to affect on our budget coming down through the aids that we get. So we're just happy on these years that, it may not be as tight, but we have to think about next year.
And when let's rewind a little bit. I know that you weren't on, it wasn't your term or anything, but last year, were we above average, under average, budget wise, when it comes to the snow removal?
I don't recall, but
okay.
I think we did well. We had a good year last year.
I thought so too. I seem to remember that, and I'm pretty sure that's how it was. Now, it's also interesting, the snowplow budget. I think there's a term that's used for it. I saw this the other day in your interview, and I hadn't heard it before. A lockbox. The snow removal dollars are in a lockbox, and I haven't heard that term before.
Yeah, so there is that box of money, and it's just, we keep it there, and then next year it's right there again, and so you have to have it, because we all know eventually we're going to need that money at some level, whether it's a light year or a heavy year. So that's a fixed amount, and we know that cost.
I know it's not actually technically a box of money, but I love imagining that it's just this lock box. It's just this box with a loose lock on it and everything. That's where all the snowplow money. Just let me go on believing that.
Well, we teach our finance director that he has cigar boxes stashed around,
there you go.
With money in it. So
Oh,
sorry,
that's
Tim,
great.
but yeah,
That's
we tease
great.
him.
I like that, actually. That's funny. Again, we're speaking with Wisconsin Rapids Mayor Shane Blaser, and I appreciate the time from Shane, and big thanks to our friends at Wisconsin Rapids Community Media have been with us. When it comes to that, I find it interesting too, where we're right in the moment and we're appreciating. I shouldn't say we're appreciating not having a lack of snow. There's a lot of people out there that want snow, that want to be able to snowmobile and enjoy the weather and everything. So you got a little bit of both with that. But overall, I think everybody can agree it's nice not to have to worry about driving to work. It's the roads are pretty decent and everything. Everybody can get behind that. But for our budget, you're still in the position of, okay, this is good, but I don't know what's coming next year. And that big picture perspective, that's such a key part of what you do, not just with this, but with so many of the things you do.
Well, that's correct. And then, but also I'm thinking, well, what's next week going to bring? 'Cause
Sure.
you could get, as we know, you can get a blizzard and a pile of snow pretty quickly, and then it's just trying to deal with it. And so, yeah, you just kind of keep taking it every week at a time. And then inversely, on the back end of the year, we have November and December, and that's this year's budget yet. So
Right.
any snow and weather you get then, it counts towards this full year's budget.
We didn't get a lot, but I know at the end of October this year, we got some snow. So to your point, that's something to think of too. And I don't think we think about that very often at all, where it's not just this winter we're dealing with. We're really dealing with the other end of winter, the butt end of it, if you will, because that's going to happen. That's going to come. And more times than not, we get those early snowfalls or something like that.
Exactly.
And our roads aren't prepared for it. How do our plowers out there? How are they prepped for something like this? Because I imagine that they've got to have not an in, I wouldn't say, but they know early on. Okay, we're going to be hit by it. We're going to get dumped on today, or we're going to get dumped on at midnight tonight. So we need to get our trucks ready and that sort of thing.
Yeah, they monitor the weather quite a bit out there,
Yeah.
and they're kind of planning for it and watching for it and trying to, even this last event, how many inches are we going to get? Is it worthy of calling a snow emergency? So they have those discussions among themselves and just keep watching the radar. And the guys that are out there, it's tough because you don't know when they're going to get called in and how long they're going to be working. And so they just kind of, they plow through it, through the wintertime. And but they're amazing and they're very versatile. And so right now they're doing other projects, and then when that snowstorm hits, or ice, or whichever we're going to get, they're ready to change gears and get going on that.
I have to admit, when I first moved out here, the first couple winters I was here, I thought that they just basically, as soon as winter hit, were just in their trucks waiting, because you never know. You never know when we're going to get bombarded. So they just had to have their ready, constantly just ready to put the key in the ignition, just ready to go.
Pretty much. It's kind of the way it is.
We do it does give us an opportunity to thank them and all the great work that they do. It really is kind of it's not a thankless job, but it's one of those jobs I think we take lightly. But man, we appreciate we got great plow workers out here. They're really good to do great work.
I always say, and all of our staff is amazing at City Hall. They all care about their jobs, and they want to provide the best service because they understand that where their paychecks come from or the funding comes from, and they work hard and they care and they have passion about their jobs, and a lot of them spend a lot of time here in a number of years, and they do just very good work.
Yeah. When it comes to the Wisconsin Rapids Rec Center, ice skating has been going on over there, and I know my dad is looking to heal up just so he can get out over there. He wants to get back on skates so bad, and I've been trying to calm him down because he's still recovering and everything. And Dad, we'll get there. We'll get there. We haven't the part. It's open till February 28th, so we got some time here and everything. We'll be able to. How are things going over there?
Yeah, if you've gotten by there or even had a chance to stop, it's an amazing sheet of ice. There's definitely been pictures out on the internet and on Facebook, but yeah, there's been a lot of people using it on the weekends, I've been told, and the only unfortunate part is the warming house isn't open, so people are using their cars to warm up this year, but it's definitely get some use, and it's a nice addition into the community there.
It's a great spot. Even if you've never ice skated before, it's nice. It's that ice is great to learn on. As somebody who learned on a river, it's very nice to learn on that. So that's one thing, and it's also a nice place to kind of just take a walk, especially with these calmer winter days that we have. Maybe not so much today, but days that we've had here and everything. It's a beautiful area to walk around. It really is. I've taken a couple of walks there, especially in like late fall and everything. It's really nice over there.
Yeah, I haven't seen any pickleballers out there yet, though.
Yeah. I'm so Raquel from the Y is on all the time, and off air, she's constantly on me about that. Like you keep talking about learning pickleball, we're waiting for you. I got to pick up that game. You, me, and Chuck, we're all going over there. We're going to form a team. We'll drag Kevin on it too.
We'll have to do that.
It'll be fun. But it is good to hear that things are going well there, and it's important for our community that place was built for a reason, and certainly we want to bring people in and everything. And obviously, then a pandemic happens, and that changes the kind of game plan in a sense. And you guys have done a really good job of adapting to that. But it is also important to kind of just spread the word about that place and remind people that, certainly right now we've got the ice out, but come summer, the aquatic center will be open, all God willing and everything. And we have better days ahead, but we want that place to be packed. We want that to be used.
Yeah, and we're already starting to work on summertime and starting to begin talking about, planning and staffing and, everybody out there that has an interest in being a lifeguard or in a position out there, start watching, because we'll start advertising that for that. But, also I think along with that is the Quadplex complex at the high school. Those events that are going to be held there are also going to be, parents are going to look for things for their kids to do in between games and those type of things. And so that recreational area will be a good addition to help support those events, because if I'm taking my family somewhere, I want to find something for them to do also in between.
That's a great point.
And they'll be able to bounce off each other pretty well.
Yeah, and I hadn't thought about that, but that's an important thing for people to be able to do too. And I'm glad you bring up the Quadplex. That's kind of where one of the last things I wanted to wrap up with. I know that a lot of work behind the scenes went into just the proposal of that and the blueprint of it and everything, let alone to be at this point with it. How, again, ask you as a mayor, but also just you don't really answer things as a mayor. You answer things as a resident, as a citizen. And I love that about working with you, talking with you and everything. But so as a citizen, how good does that feel?
Yeah, I think it's amazing with, I call out Dan Guck and Lee Graff, and they kind of started this process and built a big group, a coalition and partnerships, and now partnerships with foundations. And this has really, truly been a good community project. And last night, the council, voted to support to help with some of the infrastructure and, sewer and water and lights also on board for supporting through electrical and the power and the water end of it also. And so this has really become truly a good community project.
I appreciate the details of that too, because that's stuff that really speaks to so much of the theme of what we talk about here, what you and I talk about, is that we are stronger together. We work together. Part of what makes this community shine is the people and the way that we work together. And there's so much of that overlap of those things that it doesn't happen alone. Not one person does anything really.
Yeah, and it's unique for the city because we can be a part of this project and do a part, and then we don't have. It's not our project, because most of the projects the city does has long-term lifetime maintenance. And yeah, there is going to be maintenance, but it's going to be shared across the school district on this in the future. But it's a project we can be a part of, and then do our part and move on to our next project. And
right.
But I'm happy that we're able to support it.
Mayor, is there anything that you wanted to touch on that we didn't get a chance to?
Well, I think we covered it all.
Good. Because I always try to give, especially any of our representatives, just a softball, light, fun question to wrap things up.
That's good.
You guys have enough people hitting you with hardball questions and all that stuff and everything. That's not what I do. It's not what Carl did either. So
no, that's true.
I got a fun one here,
all
and
right.
I got to get your take on this
Sounds
one.
Good.
A dog and goat serving as mayor raise money for a playground. That is our headline from the AP here. We go to Fairhaven, Vermont. This goat and dog were each elected mayor, and they help raise money to renovate parks and different things like that. And this is something we've seen in other areas where they have an animal as their mayor and that kind of thing. First off, couldn't imagine running against a goat. It's got to be tough to lose against anybody. But you lose some votes. Even I'm not saying the election, just even a couple of people voting for the goat. That's got to feel rough.
Well, at elections you get Santa Claus getting votes. So
sure.
You know,
Good point.
everybody,
Good point.
You know, so it goes on. You know, people are, and that's the beauty of our system is that if you want to vote for Santa Claus, you can, and and so be it.
Good point. Good point. But as far so we're very fortunate here that we don't do that necessarily. I have nothing against that, but we've had nothing as far as in the time that I've lived in Rapids here. I have no problem with any of the mayors that have been in place. I think we have had a very nice history with the mayors that we've had, and right up to you. I think that we're keeping up that tradition. What's cool to me about it is you go to a lot of small areas, a lot of towns and everything, and it's basically the same guy every year. It is that version. We've had a very different variety of mayors in this area for a long time, long before it was PC to do so and everything. And I think that's something that this area can hold their head up about.
Yeah, you come up to City Hall and you can see all the history of our mayors. There's pictures up there from when our city was, when we were Centralia and Grand Rapids here.
Yeah,
and we have pictures of all those mayors all the way through. And you know, and Rapids has been notorious for liking to change the mayor. And, you know, we all bring a different perspective, and, you know, we're all a mayor at that time for whatever reason. And then I know my time will be over here and somebody else will take over, and we go on.
So you just led me perfectly into my question. If this town were to have an animal represent us, who do you think? What kind of animal comes to mind? I think it's easy to say a badger, but I also think that a badger. Nothing against the badgers out there listening. I don't think badgers would make good politicians. I have a feeling that as soon as they get into an argument, they're off the rails and they're attacking their opponent, literally attacking their opponent, and that's not good. We can't have that. So badgers, I don't know if badgers are going to work. But
I think that'd be tough. But I think recently on Facebook, I saw just over on the west side here, you know, somebody had some pictures of a bobcat, you know, so
hey, it's a good
there
one.
we go. We can go with the bobcat.
Yeah. Aggressive, but not overly aggressive. So, you know, you respect the claws, but hopefully they don't come out. That kind of thing. I like that. I have to admit, I like the goat idea too. Goats are just, I'm all right with goats.
Yeah, goats and lambs, yeah.
And they're pretty laid back. Lambs too. Pretty laid back animal and everything. I don't think that you can go wrong with any of those, but I also don't think I don't see that happening anytime soon.
No,
I don't
believe
not.
So. Unless I really do that horrible of a job, then maybe a goat will get elected next time.
It's a great way to look at it. Man, that's hilarious. I love it. You know you did a bad job when they elect a goat after you. Like, that's rough.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel pretty confident in saying that's not going to happen. And we appreciate the job that you have done to this point. And I feel confident in saying that you're going to do going forward here. One of the things that you mentioned there is the different types of mayors you can see. And I think that you see a pretty diverse group considering the area, especially. But you also bring up a great point, too, that everybody is elected at that given time for their given reason. You have yours, previous mayors before you, same thing. You're the perfect guy for the job right now, I think. I don't think we could ask for better when it comes to that. And I ain't saying that just because you're in front of me. You know me well enough. I don't have to say anything on the air like that. I really do genuinely see that. And I see why you were elected here and everything because of all the different vast reasons and stuff. So we appreciate the work you're doing, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you for the time. Always, I know how busy you are. Please, everybody over at City Hall, say hi to them for us, and you guys stay safe and strong over there.
You also, thank you.
And a big thanks to Kev and Joe and everybody over there, Wisconsin Rapids Community Media. We appreciate you guys. Keep up the great work. Be sure to follow them on social media and find their YouTube page. We will come back and have some more Morning Magazine for you right here on AM 1320 WFHR.